Good morning, everyone. We're getting a little bit late start, but some of us have a lot of stuff to do, but we're getting there, and welcome everyone for coming today. Another exciting Tuesday for Fiscal Court. Certainly glad to see each one here. First of all, we'll have a moment of silence, and then I'll ask Frank, our fleet manager, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So first of all, I'd like to have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Everyone, please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business will be to approve the minutes from the last court meeting, April 25th. Do we have I think everyone has those in front of them. Any discussion on those, any changes? No. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Mr. Wilson makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Wheeldon seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
In new business, we have two roads to concern ourselves with today. I think they have that in front of them. Cadence Way, we need a motion for a notice of a public hearing. I think that road's been looked at. We need to post a public hearing on it. Cadence Way.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Turpin, second by Mr. Wheeldon. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And also, we have one road, Pine Hill Court has asked to come into the county system, so I need a motion for a couple of magistrates, or I need to appoint a committee for a couple of magistrates to look at that one, Pine Hill Court.
What district is that? Where's it at? George, third?
You can put me on there, be fine.
Mr. Turpin and Mr. Ranshaw, they'll look at that. Do I need a motion on that?
No.
Okay. Y'all take a look at that, then we'll move with that one. Moving on to department reports. Emergency Management, Mr. Don Franklin.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Basically got three things today and hope to make this real quick. First of all, I would like to ask permission or work with Fiscal Court to put a group together to start discussing a county comprehensive plan. This is something that we are required to do based on KRS 100. It would certainly help emergency management because it will give the county direction on what we need to work on, what we need to, in essence, it's what are our goals for the next 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, and so on. I don't want to overstep my bound to the judge, but this is something that would greatly enhance my ability to do my job, and I think it would help the court very much in budgeting and what else. But that's something to think about. I think we need to get that group put together and start looking at some things. I've got some examples of some of those plans, one out of Henderson, Kentucky, that I think is an absolute masterpiece that we need to review and look at. Secondly, the mitigation plan. This is the draft form of Pulaski County's part. This is part of the 10-county Lake Cumberland Area Development District's plan. This has to be updated every 5 years. And what I want to do, if I can figure out how to do it, is put it up on the Google Drive and give all the magistrates access to that where they can go in and review it. But in essence, what this does, this determines what our major threats are, either natural or technological. It doesn't deal with man-made threats as part of the mitigation plan. But I've taken the top 10 based on threat and hazard identification and risk assessment, and I've got all the data in here on why they are rated as they are. But after we get this finished, if you want to look at it, make some suggestions or ask questions, that's great. It will have to go up to the State Division of Emergency Management for their review, and FEMA does not have to review this because Kentucky is what they refer to as an enhanced state. They're allowed to make approvals on this. Once this is done, it will go into that larger plan at the ad district. But be looking for an email. May have to get Ross and Jason to help me get that up on Google Docs. I'm not, that's all brand new to me. So be looking for that email on this plan, and I would appreciate any thoughts that you could provide. And thirdly, there is a software that I've been looking at for a couple of years. It's called Orion. It's built by a company called Futurity IT. I think it's an excellent product, and I would like to set up a demo that the fiscal court could come and look at this, because I believe this certainly help emergency management, but it's also going to help road departments, it's going to help law enforcement, it's going to help virtually every response agency in the county. And I think this is a product that will pay for itself in a very short time, and it will give us a database to be able to track historic data, which is something we desperately need for mitigation projects. If we want mitigation grants and funds, we have to have this documentation, and this will also help the other grant writers across the county that are working on fire grants and what have you. Yeah, the biggest problem we have right now is we have no historic data, and this software will provide that, and it will also provide separate layers. So the road department can have a layer, fire departments can have a layer, law enforcement can have a layer, utilities can have a layer, road department can have a layer, and they can keep their own data, and they can refer to that whenever they need it. So I would like to set up a demo, and y'all can just let me know if that's convenient for you and what time, and we'll have the folks come down and take a look at that.
Do you have any idea how long a presentation like that would last?
The presentation itself is probably about 45 minutes. Now the questions after could be minutes to days. It just depends.
Well, the reason I ask is if you gather all the fiscal court members together in one place for something like that, then it would be considered an open meeting and have to be advertised. And so I don't know if that's something you could do during a fiscal court meeting or not.
Would that not be referred to as a training?
I don't, not if you've got
Okay.
all of them together.
I don't know the details, so we can.
See what
I'll
you
be in
can find
touch
out.
with you. We'll figure something
Yeah,
out.
work it out with the county judge. Maybe we can do it right after a court meeting or even during the court meeting.
Okay, that'll work. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Get you enough.
No.
The next item of business will be fleet maintenance. Frank? He's not right here. Just go ahead and,
Got to open some bids here, Frank.
go ahead and explain what we're looking at. Yeah.
We got bids in on our mowing tractors and a couple other little backhoe attachments that we had. Mark will have a minute to open.
Guess here's one on a swivel bucket.
Frank, explain to the court and the public what these are, what we're asking here. These are sealed bids for excess.
Yeah, it's just
Equipment.
surplus equipment that we had that we're just accepting sealed bids on.
Okay.
Here's one from Matt Young on the swivel backhoe attachment for $230. Here's one from John Dye, a $75 bid on a 1-foot backhoe bucket from Pulaski County Road Department. Koblenz Equipment and Parts. It's a bid for 4 Massey Ferguson tractors with boom mowers, $180,000 for all 4 machines. That's all I have, 3 of them.
All right. We want to accept these. These are for the surplus mowing tractors, basically is what the big one is. Do we want to review that, or do we want to accept the bid?
Can we review them?
We can review.
Accept it for review right now.
Yeah, accept it for a review right
Do I have a
now.
motion?
Yes.
Need a motion?
My motion.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion to review the bids. Mr. Turpin seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
You want Frank to hang on to these?
Yes. Frank, we want to review them with you and some of the court. Okay. I'm going to skip road department just now, and we'll end up on it later. Public safety, Stacy? I think he has a bid.
I think we had asked to advertise for bids for some dive equipment for the rescue squad, but I don't think we got any bids returned, do we, Chloe? So I just asked permission to advertise for bids again later in the future for that.
All right.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion. Mr. Turpin seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will rebid that.
Thank you.
Next item will be Mr. Clyde Strunk, our coroner.
Thank you, Judge. Greetings from the coroner's office. I haven't had the opportunity to thank you all for the beautiful building you've provided us. It's working out great. Our cooler is there with us now in the same location. Don't have to traverse those bodies all over the county and put them in our cooler. I'm here today to ask that you give me permission to hire a replacement for my office manager that is retiring somewhere around the end of July. And I have a recommendation, Donald Hutchison. He is a graduate of Eastern Kentucky, criminal justice major, a class of 2019. He is a fine young man with all that I can find out. And with that hire, I would like to ask that you allow me to make him a deputy coroner as well. Won't cost the county any more money. What happens is many times we get 2 or more calls at the same time. And since my deputies are all part-time, they have other jobs except one who is my chief deputy. And oftentimes I have to call him out after his shift is over and he doesn't get any more pay for that. And so I would ask that we give me permission to hire this individual and allow me to train him as a deputy coroner. He'll work in the office, and on those rare occasions, whenever we get multiple calls or whenever I see fit to need him, he will drive the transport van, which is already there in the building. Won't need another transport van or another vehicle. So I ask the question if we can hire Donald let him start about June the 1st, so he'll have time to be trained, and Dave can have time to get him acquainted with all the computer and all that takes place in the office.
What will the salary be? Salary? Is it the same as?
Stay the same,
Okay.
pay stay the same that Dave's making now.
Motion.
Second. Mr. Turpin makes a motion and Mr. Wheeldon seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list will be Miss Beverly at 911. Permission to hire.
Good morning. I am requesting to hire Kyla Cox as full-time employee dispatcher. She won't be able to start till toward the end of the month to give her current employer appropriate notice.
Say Kylie?
Kyla, Kyla.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Renshaw makes the motion. Mr. Strunk seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of this hire, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have. Thank you.
End of the month, she said. Do you have an actual date, Beverly?
Not yet.
Not yet. Just put end of the month. Sometime this month.
To be determined.
Next up will be Mr. Bobby Jones, our sheriff.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to start out with, the first part of the budget is I'm trying to be frugal as I can with taxpayers' money. So we're working on several different grants. One of the grants is for vest. So I'm going to let Major Hancock come up and explain. We need a resolution for this grant for this vest.
Good morning.
Oh, Major.
I passed out a copy of this, the resolution that we're requesting, and what this is part of is it's called the Law Enforcement Protection Program. It's a grant that it's for body armor vests. There's other things that it's for, but the main thing we're wanting is to get this body armor. And where this comes from is under Chapter 16, and these are guns that are turned in across the state to the Kentucky State Police, and then they're eventually sold at auction, and then that money is used to buy vests for the officers across the state. And one of the things that Sheriff Jones asked me to do when he came into office is to look at the property and stuff like that, and that's what I'm looking at. And one of the first things that he asked me to do is look at our vests, and as I did that, I noticed that our vests they're getting old. A vest, the manufacturers, and this is federal, they recommend that these vests be replaced after 5 years. We've got some that are way beyond the 5-year mark, so even the one that the sheriff's wearing here is a 2007 vest. We hope it would work, but the thing about it is then if we don't replace them within what the manufacturers and what the federal system recommends that we do, then you can imagine some liability or something might be attached to that. So, but I have, like I said, I put a resolution out, a copy of it that I request that we get here this morning, and this would be a grant between the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security and the Pulaski County Fiscal Court, and it is a full reimbursement for the body armor plus a plate. And right now, I'm wanting to replace 58, and I've already talked to the grant managers at the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security, and they say that's possibly doable, but what I'd like to do is go ahead and at least submit for 58 vests. Right now, I've got one of my bids right now is $999, so that's going to be roughly around $58,000. But I'm waiting on a bid to come in today, which is actually the bid that I would like to go with. It's going to be something under that, and it's totally reimbursable for the. That's what it is. It's a reimbursement grant for whatever we're out on this grant. Whatever they allot us is what we get, and. So that would be reimbursed back to the fiscal court. And like I said, we've got several deputies out there, either with court security or school resource. I'm including everybody that is a sworn officer that works with us, and that's fiscal court, school resource officers, our transport officers, those people that do that, so that they are protected. And it was surprising when I got to going through this list how many did not have vests at all. And then some of them were so old that you couldn't even read the tag to see when they did expire, or when they were manufactured. So that's what I'm asking here this morning is as a resolution to enter into that agreement and apply for that grant. So.
Motion.
Mr. Turpin makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Renshaw seconds for the resolution. Any more discussion?
Is part of this grant any additional funding on the county's part for it, or is it 100% funded?
It's for the ballistic and the plate, and we have to have those two items. That's all they'll pay for. We will be paying for we have to pay for the carrier that goes on them, and we're going to do the new carriers. Probably, I'll have to let the sheriff explain that. But we would have to do that later on, and down when we have money available. So, but that would come out of our budget to buy the carrier, and then any other things that are attached to it, we have to fund that ourselves. So, but all I'm asking for is the ballistic part of it and the plate.
Any other discussion? Have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
To just go a little further on what he's talking about by the vest, I can live with 100% honesty. I can live with Bobby Jones being shot. I can't live with my deputies with the outdated vest. So it's important to me. So, but anyway, with that being said, what he's talking about by the vest, what we're looking at is I'm trying to be frugal as I can with taxpayers' money, go with outer vest. So we're looking at some outer vest. The expense for inner outer it's not that much difference, but what we're talking about by the outer vest, it gets some of this stuff, mag holders, tasers, and some of this other stuff that we can use Molly and put up here. It takes a lot of weight up on their shoulders, takes it off their belt. It's better on their backs. It's been proven, so I'm trying to help them out that way. As far as our budget, y'all should have been handed a budget. I've been working on this for quite a while. This is kind of my minimum budget. I know I've been asked several times, and we've discussed it in staff meetings, ask high, and maybe they'll get something out of it. But I just went with what I think the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office is needing. Transparency coming out. 4 people in the lobby right before I came up here complaining because their stuff isn't done. That's transparency. It is what it is. I explained to them, we're working on it. We're doing the best we can with what we got. Today, I got handed another resignation letter from another deputy that's been here quite some time. I'm just tired of asking for deputies to stay and to hang in there, give me some time. They got to make their own decisions. That year, Sheriff Speck was sheriff. We lost 22 deputies. Some of them did retire, but we may have been able to retain them had our money been better, or benefits been better, whatever. 22, we lost that. Since I've been sheriff, I've lost 4. And here it is May, I've already lost 4. We lost 1 to Burnside, one to Jamestown, one to Kentucky State Police, and the current one is leaving to go to Science Hill because of pay and benefits. You're free to ask any of those that quit if they left anything because of my reasons. They all swear they didn't. They all left because of the pay and benefits. It's something beyond my control. In a 4-month period in 8 years, Sheriff Speck was fully staffed. So I'm reading some of this stuff to you to just kind of, I think I was really surprised when I go over this with a lot of people that they just don't understand. Sea time's building up. Last week, we had 4 deputies off. We had one off, he had needed off for vacation for personal reasons. We had another deputy off that got married, and he had already scheduled his vacation. Had 2 in training, so we had 4 deputies off. When we had those 4 deputies off, what we done last week was we give 4 more deputies sea time to fill those hours. When you give them sea time, that's a time and a half at taxpayers' expense. That's time and a half what we would have if we had a deputy that I could just plug in or had the manpower that I could afford to have somebody off. So we had 4 of them working 5 10-hour shifts, instead of 4 10-hour shifts. Drug report, just to let you know, what's that got to do with it? You know, when I was running for sheriff, drugs is astronomical. I think our guys, I've added a part-time, I've got one that's a detective, but he's assigned to narcotics part-time right now because I can't put him in there full-time because of staffing. But the benefits for that is astronomical, and if you all want to see this report, it's pretty impressive. You know, and just last week, I got a sticky note I added on there that we've added a pound of meth and 4 ounces of fentanyl that we just got last week. So that brings the meth that we've got since this year, almost 11 pounds of meth, 264 grams of fentanyl, 25 grams of cocaine, 206 grams of marijuana, 5 guns, and over $12,000 cash. So kudos to our narcotics team. With 2.5 guys, they're absolutely doing what I asked them to do, which is get drugs out of this county or make the people that's bringing the major quantity of drugs into this county scared to do that. And that's what my goal is. One other thing I want to talk about that is when people look at our calendars or look at the photos or see all these deputies out here running around and think that we've got all these deputies, what's going on with that? I want everybody to understand, I'm saying this to Fiscal Court, I'm saying this to the public that might be listening. The court security officers only have authority in transporting prisoners in court and in court. When they're out there in the streets, they have no authority. They're a civilian, just like you. School resource officers get all their hours in at the school. I do have four full-time that help us out in the summer. The rest of them, they get their hours in school. So when you take that number, which is more than our patrol units, then that's the reason you see so many people in uniform, but not understanding why we don't have the staffing to do the calls. Assisting other agencies, just last week, we done it yesterday. We assisted Ferguson. We're glad to do that. He got in pursuit, and we went up there and assisted in that. Glad to do that. Last week we had 4 calls within another city within the county limits within 1 hour. 4 calls. Everything I'm saying I can back up. Individuals picking up cases and accident reports. I've talked about that just a minute ago. They're complaining about them not being done in a timely manner. Been involved in a wreck. We do the wreck, but yet we don't have time to come back and write your report up, and they need that report so they can go out and get another vehicle and turn it into their insurance, and they're complaining about that. Response time. Had a female last week came in complaining that she was strangled out by her, I don't know if it's boyfriend or husband, I don't remember, but anyway, she was being strangled. She's complaining that it took the deputies 25 minutes to get there. Explained that another citizen had to come and get this person off of them. Thank goodness for that citizen being there, and I apologize to her for time delay, but it's a big county. According to what report you look at, we either have the most road mileage or the second most road mileage, according to which report you look at, in any other county in the state of Kentucky. When I've been going around here lately and going over this report, I've been asking several people what it costs to outfit one deputy. So what's it cost to outfit one deputy? Without a vehicle, which is $36,000 approximately, 36, without the vehicle, but everything else they need, we're an accredited agency, with everything they need, it costs over $13,000 for just one. for everything they need. When you talk about the guns, you talk about the tasers, you talk about the body cam, you talk about the vest. Most people, the highest number I got up until that point was $2,500. People thought about $2,500 we could outfit a deputy. It's $13,000. And what I did with that, even our finance lady, Teresa, was getting ready to write it down on the sticky note how much it costs, and I took her this thing that we use for training, and this is all the equipment that we give out to the new deputies for them to check off. Yes, you have it. No, you don't have it, and all this. So it's actually 3 pages of stuff that we have to have to do our jobs. The expenses have gone up. A lot of our money goes to the new expenses. Last year, when we added 6 more school resource officers, and we've still got actually 2 vacancies that we need to fill, 4 that we can fill, because 2 schools want 2 each. But with that being said, that's a expense when you talk about that. When we added those 6 last fall, that's where we run into this budget. Well, why we haven't spent so much money? 1, because of inflation, and 2, because we're having to buy this equipment to outfit these deputies to protect our kids in our schools. When you talk about the tires, windshield wipers, and fuel, the other thing is equipment don't last like it used to. The vehicles themselves don't last like they used to. They just don't. Period. I mean, the old Crown Vics we used to have lasted forever. These newer cars just don't last as long. We have to replace them a lot more often. And the other thing is computers go bad. When you get these body cams are outdated, everything has to be redone. So that's a lot of expense on the sheriff's office budget to have to keep up. The taser I'm wearing right now is still a qualified taser, still legal to use, but it's one of the oldest tasers, one of the first edition tasers that they got. Most agencies carry one that's got a lot better capabilities than this one carries. The raises in the past have been covered by when we returned money back to fiscal court, and we got some there, but the other was covered when we lose an older deputy, we would use that money to hire a new deputy and give a little bit of a raise, because the new deputy obviously don't cost as much as a senior deputy with 4 weeks vacation and the raises that he's got over time. So we would use that money. So that's kind of how we had done raises before. Again, I put it on here, losing staff. We're waiting to see if help is coming. They keep coming to me daily wanting to know. I talked to a deputy just last week. I'm just telling them to calm down. Just calm down. But they're stressed. The amount of calls that we have are astronomical. Here's the thing about the calls I want to speak as well. But you can go on, we got a Bricks app, and I was going to go on there for time reasons I won't. If you all want to come and talk to me about them individually, like on May 1st, that day we was extremely busy, and all the number of calls that we had. But it's not only those kind of calls. If people just listen to radio and think that's all we're doing, court orders, EPOs, MIWs, all these things we have to answer. That's what we're required by law to do. We have to answer those things, and those are not coming out over the radio. Those are other additional things that we're taking care of as well. Not like other jobs, and this is not detrimental to any other job, but most people you hire them, you buy them a uniform or a shirt or a uniform, pair of pants and boots and shirt, and you put them to work, train them, put them to work. If I hired a deputy today, we're talking, so when you talk about this budget, these numbers, if I hired a deputy today, it's going to be this time next year before that deputy is working the roads of Pulaski County. So the deputy that gave me that notice today, we don't have that vacancy filled. So whenever he's gone and he's put in his notice, but he's also using his vacation time, we're already at that deputy. So by the time I get somebody hired, it's going to be this time next year before they're patrolling the roads of Pulaski County. Plus you have to get the stuff. The other thing I want to talk about when we talk about the budget, I don't want to go past it, is when you see that budget, when we're talking about those deputies, when we buy these, I'm asking for 8 additional deputies is what I'm asking for. But we buy the equipment for these 8 additional deputies. It's not like that's a one-time fee when we pay that to a degree. Some things have to be updated, so, but we don't have to buy new guns. The guns stay with the sheriff's office. They don't wear out. We don't have to buy new magazines. We don't have to buy tasers, vests when we're up to date. So I wanted you to know that. But what I'm asking for is the fiscal court for is a, lost my note here. is a $915,481.80 raise.
Sheriff, that's their expense.
Expenses, sorry, yes, not a raise. I don't want this to make it look like this is something that we are looking at just to go out and spend a lot of money. I'm talking that we need this to sustain the Pulaski Sheriff's Office. I'm asking for an increase of $1.33 for all the current deputies, trying to get the new hire rate up sufficient. We're in a competitive market right now. Somerset Police Department, other cities within the county, and throughout the state. State Police is getting another raise coming up this few months. State Police is getting another raise, which they already get paid twice more than our deputies as it is. Transparency coming out. I was a lieutenant detective, Pulaski Sheriff's Office, been here 25 years. My son's a 3-year trooper, made as much money as I did. Proud of him, but math don't add up. So I want to bring that before fiscal court. If you all have any questions, feel free to ask.
Sheriff, one thing that
Yes, sir.
bring it up, if we get these 8 deputies, it would require, it's not like we can go out tomorrow and hire 8 deputies.
Yes.
It would take time, over a period of time, maybe 2 or 3 years maybe, to get that many people, so we have to do recruitment and finding.
Right. The standards that have been placed upon law enforcement across the board here lately have increased. It's something that they go through with the KLEC up at the, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be strict standards before somebody becomes a law enforcement officer. But we're losing law enforcement officers to the private sector more than any time in my career right now. People are getting out of law enforcement, going in the private sector at a more of a rate right now than they have any time in my career. So what he's talking about is, even if this budget's approved, doesn't mean we're going to be spending all that money right off the bat, because we've got to get the people hired, trained in, and all that. But I'm to the point where when it's extremely hard to fill our schedule right now. I made no secret about it. Ultimately, what I'd like for this county is have 2 deputies in every district. I'm talking about the 4 when I say districts, not Charles districts, it's north, east, south, and west. 4 areas of this county. 2 on days, 2 on seconds, and if I had one in each district on thirds, which would be just that 4 hours, well, from actually 6 hours at night, from midnight to 6 o'clock in the morning. We get our right now our detective staff is 3.5, like I said, and our narcotics is 2.5, because I got one doing half detective and half narcotics. I'd like to get him plugged in full-time narcotics, and 2 more detectives to help out with the major crimes that we have in this county. Any questions?
Well, I don't have any questions. Got a little bit of a statement.
Sure.
First of all, I'm sure every one of us magistrates and the county judge would love to give you 16 deputies.
Right.
But we're in the process of working out a budget right now.
That's the reason I bring it
And the
forward.
budget is tight. Our expenses, our cost of doing business is up 20 to 30% countywide. Fuel cost is up and all this. Our revenue that we have coming in is not up. It's not matching. So what we're looking at is a situation where we're going to be able to do very little above, very, very little above our current budget now. And we would love to help and see what we're doing. I did some math over the weekend, and if we look at what we give your department right now, we're giving you $1.28 or $1,128,000 in salaries, $35,000 in health care or in holiday pay. And then we're paying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're paying roughly $185,000 in the Social Security. We're paying, and this is the coming year, we have allocated $850,000 for health care. And then we have, $850,000 worth of retirement. And then we have $600,000 worth of health care. So we're actually given, and this is my math, and I may be wrong, but we're given roughly almost $2.8 million to the sheriff department now, in which a study was done, and we are actually the highest paying court that gives money to each of their sheriff's department in the surrounding areas. My problem is we're given, after we have our mandatory commitments that we have to do for the jail, 911, animal shelter, and we're not subsidized by the city. That's 100% our responsibility, above and beyond whatever revenue they can't join themselves, which is going to be about $3 million. The problem is we just don't have the funds to do what you would like. We would love to do it. Every one of us in this room would love to give you another $1 million a year. We're also have to look at the future too, which we've been told that the retirement costs over the next 3 years are going to go up dramatically to the point where the counties will be paying an additional $1 million in retirement costs. We're all focused on this budget. We're all trying to do. I've been magistrate for 4 years. I've never seen so much detail and that's going into this budget. I mean, we've been working on this for about a month now. We've had a small committee together working, trying to find money. But when we got expenses going up and revenues not there that match it, we're actually having to adjust our budget now. And to come up with another $1 million, and I don't want to be the bad person to say this, but it's going to be very, 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 very hard. And I appreciate you coming here and bringing this to you, but we just have to realize that we're not, our budget isn't what it's going to look like. And if when we're done, we're more than welcome that everybody can look at it and decide, look, should we cut here or should we cut there to help you out? But it's gonna, I mean, we've been working on this and trying to find money. We got the fire fund wanting another $1 million. We got the jail, hopefully they want a new building. I mean, right now there's nothing additional right now because of the cost of increase of everything.
I understand everything you're saying. I do.
But I just wanted to put that out there.
I appreciate that, and because for me to work on the budget, like I said, at the taxpayers' expense, the reason I'm saying is we can continue to do what we've done last 8 years. I love to have the time to sit down and see how much money that the taxpayers have spent on these deputies that we hire and train and they do the 3-year contract and then they leave us. It's astronomical. We can keep doing this for the next 8 years, or we can get, and I understand if the money's there. I understand that, and that's the reason I'm bringing this to you, because I know you're working on the budget. At the end of the day, you can have nice roads to drive on, have nice parks to go to, but what I'm hearing, maybe because I'm the sheriff, if you don't have the protection out there, and maybe it don't hit home until you're personally affected, and then it's like, oh no. And then that seems to be happening. And I'm just saying.
We hear it every day.
I understand.
We hear the same thing you hear every day.
Public safety is essential, and I agree with the fire department. I agree with the jail. It does no good to get additional deputies if we ain't got no place to store them. I understand your dilemma. I'm just putting it out there that I made no secret about it. Three things. Either we get more money, more deputies to help these guys out, or we can't answer the calls. And we don't answer the calls, the public's going to be very upset.
But what we're trying to say, we don't have the funds coming in to help you.
I understand. I'm just asking.
And that's, I mean, I would love to help. I would love to give every deputy, every county employee a raise and all that. We would love to do that. I mean, that's what we look at. But our job is to make sure we stay budget sound. One of our biggest jobs is make sure we have budget sound, and it's going to be tough.
My job is to protect this county, so that's the reason I asked.
I know.
My job, because we are the primary law enforcement here in this county. Just talked to a trooper just yesterday, and that trooper told me just yesterday that Rockcastle County on the weekends, Rockcastle County has no deputies out in the weekends. This is what came right out of his mouth. And so the troopers work Rock, Pulaski, and Wayne that are assigned to squads, and they're requiring our 4 troopers that are assigned to Pulaski County to go to Rockhouse County and work. They're not here.
Yeah,
So,
their fiscal court gives them about $500,000 a year.
yeah,
So their sheriff's department. So.
yeah. Over Rock, yeah.
But I mean, they're smaller, they got a
Absolutely,
population
yeah.
of 18,000
Sure,
people, so.
yeah.
But, I mean, per capita, we're, out of all the counties around here, it looks like we're paying well over $10 more per person to our sheriff department than any other county. And we talked to the state, and we know, and they told us it's a problem statewide.
It is.
I mean,
I agree with that.
I mean, I don't know what the solution is. Eventually, it's going to have to be a solution. I don't know if we get more money from state. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the right solution to help you find more income.
Understand.
So.
And I know it's a dirty word, probably a dirty word, tax. I mean, I don't know,
Well, here's the other thing. I mean,
if you want to create a tax to help
well,
us out, I'm not saying, it's not. that's the
There's
reason
only
I bring it-
one way the county can increase tax, and that's property tax.
Yeah.
But we can only do that by a total of 4% of the current tax percentage,
I understand that.
which would only increase that on our property values by about $86,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's not going to get to $1 million.
And let me explain the reason I said that word is because when I'm talking to a lot of people too, and everybody I'm talking to, every single person I've talked to wouldn't care to give a little bit to help out. And I understand there's logistics behind this. That's the reason I'm here today. I understand all that. But everybody I've talked to said that every household I've talked to is willing to give a little bit for public safety, for protection.
Absolutely.
And have those people be able to respond quicker than 25 minutes to a strangulation call, to a domestic progress call.
But I would love to be in a position to get you your 8 men and even 16.
Yeah.
Because I hear about the same things about the sheriff, running the road, how traffic control, stuff like that too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's important, and I know, but
Well,
I mean,
right now,
we're looking at, right now, what we're giving the sheriff's department is over 1/6 of our general fund budget after we pay all the other mandatory expenses.
But
So,
we're-
and then we have the other expenses throughout the county.
Right.
That's what we're giving them
I know.
right now.
But we're county employees just like everyone.
Yeah.
We are. I mean, you say, you act like you're giving it to the sheriff's office, but we're county employees just like everybody else
Right.
is. We're all county employees. We're all in this together. It's not like, we're giving it to me. You're not, Bobby Jones.
That's why we have to
benefit.
look at the whole
Right.
situation as magistrates. We can't just look
Right.
at one department. We have to
Right.
look at the whole county.
I understand that. I understand that.
So, but I appreciate you coming
No
in
problem.
and presenting,
Sure.
but I just hated to be the one to have to tell you all this information.
No, I mean, I understood, and for the last couple of days, just transparency come out again, I had anxiety come up here, but then at the, last couple of days, God gave me peace to come in here and just say, it's not Bobby Jones. I'm not doing this. My pay scale's set. I'm not helping me. I'm trying to help the citizens of this county, that the ones down there in the lobby, and I just told her, the one that I talked to, there's 3 others out there complaining, and the one I talked to, I said, look, I'm going up here, I'm trying to, yeah, I understand it's been a week since you've gotten your report. I don't know what to do with people, just like all the other departments, and, you're allowed time off, and all this, and when you have people that take off unexpectedly, like sick time, or that's when it puts us in a bind schedule-wise. I don't want to be in a position, and that's what's happening. Either I give these guys comp time, but I don't want these deputies to be in a position to where they're working this county with just 2 deputies out there. One of them might get tied up in an MW, the other's going to another bad call. It's dangerous. It's a lot worse than it used to be, and that's my position. I'm there to protect my guys, and I understand the consequences of that. But at the end of the day, like I said, I feel like it was my job to come just let Fiscal Court know. I was really surprised when I found out that, talking through this to a lot of people, they didn't have no idea the shortfall of the sheriff's office as far as staffing wise, and then the amount of money that we make across the board.
But like you said, you were a little bit anxious about coming up in presentation. I've been thinking about this for over the weekend. How am I going to explain all this to you?
I understand. I'm just asking.
So I don't want to do it, but
We appreciate you coming in. We'll definitely
I
look at
understand.
it and see
I
what
understand. I
we can
appreciate
do.
it.
Bobby, let me ask you a
Yes,
couple
sir.
questions.
Yes, sir.
You've asked for a $1.33
Yes,
per
sir.
hour.
Yes, sir.
Will that even help retain deputies from leaving? Is that enough to persuade them to not go somewhere else? I know we're not competing with state troopers.
No.
That's out of the ballpark.
Sure, absolutely.
But does a $1.33 per hour really get us into the wage scale of surrounding area?
I tell you where that number came from. That number comes from a number to where we can increase our hiring. Our hiring increases from, Teresa, help me, it's,
1892 to
yeah,
1825.
yeah. So, yeah, there it is. So that increases that. So the lure, it's a competitive market out there. I'm fighting
Oh, it is.
with trying to keep people, losing people to other agencies, which is happening. Like I said, I just got a notice this morning handed to me, or designation letter this morning, just handed to me this morning. And he's going to Science Hill, I don't know. But anyway, that number, to answer your question, that number comes from the hiring, to raise their pay on the hiring increase. But we can't raise the hiring increase without giving the other deputies a raise, because what we do is we'd hire a new guy right now, and he'd be making more than the guys that just got out of the academy, which would be, obviously that wouldn't be fair to them. So that's where that number come from.
Okay. Also, I think you're saying you may have somewhere around 14 road deputies now, or in that ballpark.
We're supposed to have 21.
But you have 14 currently that's assigned to road, or?
No, 21, let's see, I got it right here.
21 assigned the road and currently have 14 or something? Is what we talked about?
Well, the dynamics on all this is I'm counting, when I'm looking at the road deputies on there right now, I'm counting 13, not counting command staff, but the command staff, we're working here. Unlike other agencies, my sergeants and lieutenants answer calls. Just the good news is, just got a lieutenant that just got released off of medical leave. He'd been on it since January the 10th, had surgery. That'll be another one that can answer calls, because while he was on medical leave, he could come in and work like duty, but he couldn't go out and answer calls, because you never know what you're going to get into. So that is another body that can come out during the days and answer those calls. But those road shift, or the road deputies and the let's see, 13, 14.
Sheriff, we had 15 after that one just left. That's not supervisors.
Yeah.
15 will
Okay,
do that.
that's not super. But the thing I want to explain is the dynamics with these quitting. Just like I said, the two had just quit to go to the park system and Kentucky State Police here last month. So we hurriedly got some people in. So we've got one in the academy and one. You know the date, Major? I don't think he goes till June. That's the problem with hiring. Is it's not like in hiring. We've got him hired. We've got him set to hire, but going through all the background checks and everything KLEC does, send them to DOCJT, it takes a month or two to get them through that.
We'll be lucky to get him in by November.
And the new,
Close out quick, because the whole 120 counties is hired.
talking about Grant, or you talking about the one we're hiring?
Grant, we don't have a date for him yet.
Oh, you don't have a date for him. So one of those two that quit before, and that's not even talking about this one that resigned. So I've got two under training right now. They're probably getting ready to get released. They're under FTO, field training officer training. And then I've got one that's in the academy right now, and I've got one that's set to go to the academy, and it looks like it may be November. So if it's November before he goes, then it's going to be next summer before he's. Next fall, actually, probably before he's actually on the road.
Is there any way, and I'm just asking because I don't know, is there any way to reassign people that are under your control to road deputy status, or put them on the road and cut back on some other departments or divisions in your office?
The answer to that's
to
no.
cover more of the ground?
Well, where? And I'm just saying, but here's the thing about it, that I can do that. I can take the 3 narcotics guys and say, you're going to have to work the road. what's that going to do with all this poundage that they're getting coming into Pulaski County? Not only that, but these guys, the two that's currently under there are TFO'd through the federal agency. So they can take these guys and they're taking them to get federal time. That's something the public don't see. The majority of the people that they're getting with these poundages are going federal time. It's not coming up on our court dockets and everything like this. We're taking them federal time, which is a lot stiffer penalties than state time. So I've got those 2.5 that's working there. Like I said, in the detectives division, I feel kind of like a hypocrite, just to be honest with you, because when I was a lieutenant detective, I had 4 guys under me the whole entire time Sheriff Speck was in. Right now, Matt Bryant's a lieutenant detective, and he's got 2.5. He's got 2 full-time detectives, and where that comes into play is they're the ones taking all the major cases away from the road deputies so they can do it. So if it is something pretty severe, somebody's had a $100,000 theft, somebody's been raped. We just had unfortunately, just a young suicide, individual suicide happened this week. These things don't come out in the paper. These things don't come out. But on that call, we had 2 detectives come out because we want to investigate it, find out exactly what had happened, to get to the bottom of what had happened. So when you call those 2 detectives out, and they get called out, I mean, that was probably Sunday, I think. Monday. So that works out okay if it's on a Monday because they can kind of stack their hours and maybe take off at the end of the week to keep them getting comp time. My big thing is, if I don't want to, just be honest with you, if I don't want to be frugal with our money, I just go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to fill these slots and get everybody to get comp time and then let the next administration worry about it. But every time you do that, you get comp time now and you don't get to take it off for 4 more years, then you're earning that money at the rate 4 years from now than you are with getting money now. So that's the reason I'm asking for manpower now to keep from that building up.
Can I add one thing
Yes,
to
sir.
the detective division? I'm retired state police, retired major with the state police. At one time I had half the state, the western half of the state. I also had 3 different posts. And when I was a state trooper and a detective, when I rolled up on a scene with there's deputies there or whatever, I took over that scene. When I got here in 2015 under Sheriff Speck, I didn't realize, but when these guys get there, there's nobody that's coming in to take over. These guys work the scene themselves. The state trooper might show up and help, but these guys are the primary investigators for all the crime that goes on here and what I've seen in my 8 years with Sheriff Speck. So, and that's across the whole state. We did that same thing. We were the primary investigator as a state police, but it's not the same, not here. I was surprised here when I rolled in here, how busy these guys were, and now we're understaffed in the division.
But get back to answer your question, those are the only 2, because like I explained before, court security has no authority. School resource officers get their hours in school, have to stay in the school buildings while school's going on. We got those 4 that come out in the summer and help us out, which is really big help in the summer months because of the population increases in the summer with all the summer tourists. But so you got the command staff, which I'm not above answering calls. I went out yesterday and chased that guy that ran from David Cornett. I'm not above doing that. I'll go out and answer calls. I went out and answered alarms. I went out and answered. I don't care. So even from me down, Major Hancock's answer calls, our chief deputies answer calls. So our command staffs are working. So we just don't have them on the schedule per se. So the only other 2 areas is narcotics and detectives. And right now, both of those are behind, in my opinion.
Do you know what the pay is that this one went to Science Hill for?
I don't know. I didn't ask him. I don't know. I don't know.
The post that's being filled is $18 an hour.
Up at Science Hill, $18 an hour. Okay. I didn't know. It's one of those things where I was talking to another individual yesterday, and he came in and he had asked me to do what you had, done some of these statistics about, this and this. Just to be honest with you, I'm a working sheriff. I don't have time to sit and do work those statistics, and I'm not, this ain't bragging on me, but I mean, I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and this gets go 7 days a week, so I'm at home answering calls. So this is big county. A lot of people's got my number, and I don't care. But at the end of the day, if everybody just really knew how many times people was calling, asking, begging, pleading for help, and we're just limited. And, we're only so many human beings can only answer so many calls.
And Sheriff, if I could add one thing too, we are a fee office, but we are regulated by KRS on what we can charge.
Yeah.
Anything above that to operate our office has to come from health. We do get tax commissions, but we get the tax commissions in the fourth quarter of the year. And when we get tax commissions in at the end of the year, we have to pay back the state for a $200,000 advance that we require to run our office from January through October. And then we have to pay our mileage that keeps our vehicle account up, and that runs almost $400,000. So right there at the top is $600,000 of our tax commission. So when we are regulated by KRS statutes that we can only charge $5 for an inspection or $60 for a civil, that doesn't go very far.
Yeah. And to that degree, especially one, we've got 2 or 3, but we've got one special, by law, I'm allowed to have up to 10 special deputies. I've got those vacancies. I mean, I don't have no vacancies in that. I'm utilizing those. 2 or 3 of them are civil servers, serve civil papers for us. Means that they are special deputies. They don't get a dime. They don't get paid one dime to do it. But I've got one guy that's out there that will serve, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 10 civils a day, $60 a pop. He's doing that for me for free. So kudos to him. He's doing an outstanding job of doing that. Which in reality, it ought to be our deputy serving some of these civil papers. But like I said before, when you're only being reactive instead of proactive, you're out just running from call to call to call throughout the day. Where the deputies are getting stressed is when they're getting backed up on these calls. Beverly's here from 911. She knows some of these calls come out. And when I say on Monday, May 1st, we had 21 calls. Well, that may not sound like a whole lot in this room, but that didn't come out ever on the hour, 2 or 3 an hour. That came out. The bulk of it come out from 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. Is when the bulk of those calls come out. So these deputies, with 2 or 3 deputies, running the roads, and it's a big county. Ultimately, like I said, if I could get the district thing worked out where they wouldn't have to run and they could learn what's in the crime in their own area, it'd be nice to have somebody out in Nancy, down south, out east, and up north to learn the communities, learn the problem areas, learn this and focus on those areas. That's my goal.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Bobby.
All right.
Thank you.
Next item is county clerk, but it's not the county clerk.
Thank you, Judge. In accordance with 67045, we initiated proceedings to reapportion this county. We published notice on the 2nd of May, and the days earliest we can announce those, ask for those appointments. They are Rick Wiles from the 1st, Aaron Smith from the 2nd, and Robin Adams from the 5th. In addition, Tim Price is to be appointed as a non-voting member of that committee. I ask for that time that these people be appointed to this commission.
Motion.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Strunk and a second by Mr. Wheeldon. Any discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
In accordance with 67045, they shall receive out of the county treasury a reasonable compensation for their services fixed by the fiscal court. At this time, I wish that fee to be $100 per meeting, please.
Motion.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Strunk seconds. Any discussion on the pay? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Our first meeting will be on the 22nd at 11 o'clock. At that time, I don't foresee any major problems. Hopefully, on the next day, the 23rd, when you all meet, I shall have a report ready for you in the fiscal court as required by 67045. Any questions?
Questions?
Can I add a comment? But because of the printers that y'all bought in the last couple of years, I was able to only order 11,400 ballots in this election. Typically, order about 30 to 35,000 ballots. That's a savings of over $10,000. So that there is some, and that money was coming from HB1 provision funding paid for by the federal government, because they were requiring us to have a paper trail in place by the 1st of January. So they funded the stuff that I've asked for in the last couple of months. So we're actually saving money in some of these election costs. I feel sorry for the sheriff, and we're trying to do our part.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Judge, I got one other thing that's not on.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Good morning, and I'd just like to say thank you for listening to us and helping us. And sometimes it seems like all we do is spend money, but with all the grants and things that are out there available, I think all part of our county entities is doing a good job finding those grants and applying and getting them. But what I have to ask the court to do, I have a few just minor amendments to my handbook, policies and procedure. I think each of you have a copy. I have had Martin to look it over. He said it was okay. I just need you all to, if you will, to vote on it so I can get my employees to sign it and attach it to the handbook that you all have already approved.
I need a motion for the amendments. I think you've got them in front. If you want to take a minute to look at them.
These were just minor adjustments. We realized that in our book, that we didn't touch on, so we're trying to get everything aligned where it would be in order, and there's just some oversights that we had.
I'll make a motion.
Wheeldon makes that motion. Do I have a second? I'm asking for a second.
Second.
Mr. Wilson makes that second. Any discussion on these amendments?
Martin, you did look over this.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Tim. We'll go back up to the road department. They're asking for 3,000 ton of rock, 4,000 gallon of patch oil. Do I need a motion on that?
Motion on the rock.
Second.
Mr. Wilson makes a motion, Mr. Renshaw seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to approve the 4,000 gallons of patch oil.
Mr. Renshaw makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Strunk seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Road list,
Motion.
Mr. Wilson makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Renshaw seconds. Any discussion on the road list? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I have been asked for a new hire for the road department. We had a person quit over the weekend. The mowing crew, one of the mowing crew just resigned. So we're asking for a new hire of Dale Vault that will go in as an equipment operator. Do I have the motion for that?
Motion.
Mr. Renshaw makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Strunk seconds. Any discussion? All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. On to the treasurer's report.
First item I've got is the April's bank reconciliations.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Renshaw makes the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Turpin seconds. Any discussions on the bank recs? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Bill list.
Motion.
Mr. Wilson makes a motion to,
Second.
Mr. Strunk seconds that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I think that takes care of all our reports. Did I miss anything, Martin?
Nope, I think you got it all.
Getting better. We've got citizens' comments. State your name and your person, what you're here for.
In what?
Go ahead and state your name and your comment.
Okay. My name is Ashley Homrich. I'm a resident of Pulaski County. I'm also here representing Lake Cumberland Diversity Collective and Unity Allies. Last year for our Juneteenth celebration, you all had approved and given us $3,500 for our Juneteenth celebration, which we celebrate that day. It's one of the newer or the newest federal holidays, and it's a day that we recognize and celebrate the end of slavery as well as the ongoing work of racial healing. And so with that, I was wanting to find out how we can go about to honor that again, or be able to have where we get on the schedule or things like that, because that had changed a little bit, and so we've been a little bit confused on that. We definitely want to just welcome you all to the celebration. It's going to be June 17th this year. That's a Saturday. It'll be from 5 to 9. Our community members, especially underrepresented, have really expressed how much it means to them. We try to make it very educational through a lot of art, actually, through poetry. We have face painting, just try to have it be a really fun day for everyone. So, yes, my ask is that if we could have the $3,500 be honored again, or how we go about that.
Let me review the budget. It's in the current, it would be in the current budget if it's there, and let me look at that and we'll go from there.
Okay.
That's all I can do.
Okay.
Thank
Anyone
you.
that I need to follow up with, or?
Follow up with me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'm going to ask the court to go in executive session for personnel.
Motion. Second.
Mr. Renshaw makes the motion, Mr. Wilson seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will be in executive session for a few moments, and we'll be back out. You're welcome to stay around if you like. We will be back shortly. Hurry up. I need a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Wheeldon makes the motion, Mr. Renshaw seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're out of executive session. There's no action taken in executive session. I do want to make a recommendation that we suspend a county employee for violation of the county drug policy for 30 days of unpaid leave. Do I have a motion on that?
Motion.
Mr. Wheeldon makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Strunk makes a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Mr. Wilson makes that motion.
Second.
Mr. Renshaw seconds the motion. All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Did you get all that?